Lisa could hardly forgive herself for what happened to her daughter. She had allowed Mindy to play alone in the forest, thinking it was safe, but it turned out to be far from safe when a cobra bit her little girl. Lisa was sitting in her garden, enjoying a peaceful afternoon, the warm sun casting a golden glow on the pages of her book. The gentle rustling of the leaves and the distant chirping of birds filled the air, creating a serene atmosphere. It was a rare moment of tranquility, one that Lisa cherished in her otherwise busy life. Her mind wandered briefly, thinking of the chores she still needed to do, but for now, she allowed herself to relax. The serenity of the moment was shattered by a piercing scream that made her jump to her feet, her heart pounding in her chest. She knew it was Mindy. Without hesitation, Lisa dropped her book and ran toward the dense forest, her mind racing with fear. "Mindy! Mindy!" she shouted, her voice echoing through the trees. The forest, though not vast, was thick and tangled, making it difficult to navigate. Panic surged through Lisa as she tried to imagine what could have happened. She had always believed the forest to be safe. There weren't supposed to be any dangerous animals in the area, and their home was remote, far from the nearest town. Yet, something had gone terribly wrong. As she pushed through the underbrush, her mind flashed back to the many times she had watched Mindy play here, her little girl's laughter filling the air. This place had always seemed like a haven, a natural playground where Mindy could explore and let her imagination run wild. Lisa had never imagined it could turn into a scene of terror. The thought of something happening to her daughter in this place, where she had always felt so secure, was almost too much to bear. "Mindy, where are you?" Lisa's voice cracked as she shouted, her throat dry with anxiety. She tripped over a root and fell, scraping her palms on the rough ground. But she didn't care. She scrambled to her feet and continued running, the fear in her heart driving her forward. Her mind was a whirlwind of horrible possibilities, each one worse than the last. When she finally spotted Mindy, her heart nearly stopped. There, coiled near her daughter's ankle, was a cobra. Lisa screamed, her voice filled with terror as the snake struck, its fangs sinking into Mindy's skin. Mindy cried out in pain, her small body trembling as she tried to shake the snake off. With a desperate shriek, she managed to dislodge the snake, but it quickly turned its attention toward Lisa. Instinct took over as Lisa grabbed a Y-shaped branch from a nearby tree. Her hands shook, but her determination was unyielding. She pinned the snake's head to the ground, her breath coming in ragged gasps. The snake writhed under the branch, its body twisting in a futile attempt to free itself. With a surge of adrenaline, Lisa lifted the snake and hurled it deep into the forest, far from her and Mindy. The snake landed with a thud, disappearing into the undergrowth. Lisa rushed to Mindy's side, scooping her up into her arms. Mindy was crying, her face pale and contorted with pain. Lisa's heart broke at the sight of her daughter suffering, but there was no time to dwell on it. They had to get to the hospital quickly. She sprinted back through the forest, every step a battle against the tangled vines and roots that seemed to conspire against her. "Hold on, Mindy," Lisa whispered, her voice choked with emotion. "We're almost there, sweetheart. Just hold on." She could feel Mindy's small body trembling in her arms, each sob a dagger to Lisa's heart. She pushed through the pain and exhaustion, driven by the primal need to save her child. The moment they reached the house, Lisa placed Mindy gently in the car and sped toward the hospital, her hands gripping the steering wheel tightly. She fumbled with her phone, managing to call ahead and alert the hospital of the emergency. The receptionist's voice was filled with disbelief when Lisa mentioned a cobra bite, but Lisa's desperation made it clear this was serious. "Please," she begged, "you have to be ready for us." The drive felt like an eternity, each second stretching into an agonizing length as Lisa glanced at Mindy, who was growing weaker. Lisa's mind was a whirlwind of fear and guilt. How could she have let this happen? How had a cobra ended up in their forest? Questions she had no answers to swirled around, but her focus remained on reaching the hospital. Upon arriving, the hospital staff quickly confirmed it was indeed a cobra bite, but there was a significant problem. They had no anti-venom. Cobras weren't native to the area, and the hospital wasn't equipped for such cases. They started working to remove as much venom as possible from Mindy's system, but the poison might have already spread too far. Lisa was distraught, pacing the waiting room, her thoughts a chaotic storm of worry and self-recrimination. She couldn't lose Mindy. The mere thought was unbearable. The hospital called for an emergency supply of anti-venom, but it would take time to arrive. Every minute that passed felt like a hammer blow to Lisa's heart. "Why don't they have the anti-venom?" she muttered to herself, frustration mingling with fear. "This can't be happening." She wrung her hands, her mind replaying the scene in the forest over and over. The guilt was overwhelming. "If only I hadn't let her go out alone," she whispered. Then, in the midst of the chaos, the doctor discovered something unexpected. There was no venom in Mindy's system. They were puzzled until one of the nurses, who had been on the phone with a local vet, came running in with news. The cobra had been reported as an escaped pet. Its owner had removed its venom glands, making the bite much less dangerous than they had feared. Relief washed over Lisa in a powerful wave, her legs nearly giving out beneath her as she heard the news. Mindy's injuries were minor and treatable. Within hours, her little girl was back on her feet, the color returning to her cheeks and the sparkle to her eyes. "What a brave girl you are," the nurse said, smiling warmly at Mindy as she wrapped a bandage around the small puncture wounds. "You gave us all quite a scare." Mindy managed a weak smile, her voice small but determined. "I'm okay now, right, Mommy?" Lisa knelt beside her daughter, taking her small hand in hers. "Yes, sweetheart, you're going to be just fine. I'm so proud of you." The doctor approached, his expression one of gentle reassurance. "You're lucky," he said softly, addressing Lisa. "It could have been much worse if the snake hadn't been devenomed, but Mindy will make a full recovery." "What happened to the snake?" Lisa asked, her curiosity piqued now that the immediate danger had passed. "We're working with local animal control to find it," the doctor explained. "It shouldn't be in the wild, and we'll ensure it's safely removed." Lisa nodded, a wave of gratitude washing over her. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice filled with emotion. "Thank you for everything." What began as a nightmare ended in overwhelming gratitude. Lisa vowed never to take her daughter's safety for granted again. The forest, once a place of joy, now carried a lesson she would never forget. As they left the hospital, Lisa held Mindy close, silently promising to protect her with every fiber of her being. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more heartfelt tales. Your support helps us bring more stories like this to life.